Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. My name's Matt Keithley. I'm going to be your host for today's webinar. Many thanks for joining us today. I'm calling in here from the UK. I am Unify's regional manager for EMEA that covers the CipherSoft migration and conversion tools that we offer via for Oracle Forms. Before we get started with the presentation, I just want to go through a couple of small housekeeping things about Unify. For those that don't know us, we are a publicly traded company. We've been in business for over 30 years, and we are known for being the first to deliver a relational database in a Unix environment. Since then, we've delivered development software products that run across different databases and platforms that are geared towards building and modernizing business applications to the business developer with a priority on premium productivity over low-level coding. Today, our business has expanded beyond database and development products into modernization solutions like the one you're going to be seeing demonstrated today, as well as archiving and e-discovery solutions via our sister company, Dagis. I'd also like to introduce on this call Khalid Baig. Khalid will be providing the demonstration portion today. He's our manager for Oracle Forms. He has been involved in Oracle Forms upgrades as well as Oracle Forms conversions to Java for a very, very long time. He himself was a Java programmer and a Forms programmer in his former life, but now we're very proud to have him working for our company, and it's a real treat to have someone with Khalid's background and experience demonstrating for us today. We wanted to get as much as possible from today's session, and we really do want to encourage questions from everybody. The way to do this is to use the Q&A button on your WebEx toolbar. It's the button with the small question mark. And there's also a chat button, but it makes it easier for Khalid and I to look at one panel for the questions to make sure we address all of them. So if you could actually use the Q&A button, the small question mark button, we would be most grateful. So without further ado, I'll carry on, go over the agenda for today. So the object of today's webinar is to provide you with information on converting Oracle Forms applications to browser-based Java applications in the Oracle ADF framework. I'll start with an introduction that includes an overview of Unify CipherSoft. Next, we'll provide a brief overview of Oracle ADF. ADF is a very expansive topic, as I'm sure you'll know, so we'll focus on the user interface components since today's webinar is about conversion to a browser-based technology application in ADF. We will also look at the key considerations for a Java conversion in general. We'll follow this up with a demonstration so that you can see how you can convert an Oracle Forms application into Java. It's going to use ADF components of the user interface layer, and we'll follow this up with a Q&A session, as I said earlier. So a little bit about CipherSoft itself. CipherSoft is a wholly owned subsidiary of Unify Corporation. It's got over 30 years' experience in database development tools and application modernization. CipherSoft has an established and very successful practice for modernizing Oracle Forms applications. We're a member of the Oracle Modernization Alliance, better known as OMA. The OMA is an Oracle initiative that helps customers modernize their legacy applications and infrastructure. In essence, CipherSoft is all about modernizing Oracle Forms. As you're probably aware, Oracle ADF stands for Application Development Framework and is Oracle's Java framework for building enterprise applications. In order to support enterprise applications, it supports many different Java technologies and components. ADF is included with an Oracle Application Server license. However, ADF can, of course, be purchased and licensed separately to be deployed on other application servers as the customer desires. We don't have time to go into all the different Java technologies of ADF, but for today's webinar, we want to touch on ADF Faces. ADF Faces is a set of interface components for building rich user interface into a browser or thin client. The user interface or user interface components have built-in properties much like the user interface components in Oracle Forms. There are only a few component examples listed on this slide, but it is important to note that the number of components was significantly expanded with the introduction of Oracle ADF 11G. The number of components went from approximately 100 in 10G to about 150 in 11G. So that's a real key, and just as key is the built-in properties were expanded on some of those components as well. This is very important to consider when you're trying to create a rich functionality of a client-server forms environment in a thin client environment. So ADF Faces is built on the Open Standard Java Server Faces, or JSF, as you probably know it as. So just moving on to the next slide. There are many key considerations when, from a developer's perspective, when converting Oracle Forms applications to Java. These apply whether you are converting to a browser-based user interface in ADF or to any Java platform. The converted application should be intuitive, whether it's for original developers to maintain in a new environment or whether it's for developers who have no experience whatsoever in the original application. I mean, practically speaking, this means your path to Java should provide a one-to-one conversion in the code as much as is possible, as well as separate the business logic layer from the presentation layer. In addition, the impact on the end users of the applications needs to be considered as well. Reproducing all of the functionality of the application is simply not enough. It needs to adopt a similar behavior in the new environment in order to avoid retraining on the application. Similar behavior can minimize the risk of user frustration and speed of adoption of the migrated application. Once the application is migrated, the user interface layer can be modernized, or the business logic layer can be repurposed for integration and used throughout the organization. We've got a graphic here that basically illustrates some of the keys to creating a path for the developers involved in a migration project, whether they are the original Forms developers or Java developers. In addition to producing clean Java code, keeping the file structure of the components and objects organized much as they were in the original Oracle Forms provides a reference point both the original Forms developers and Java developers can follow. For Oracle Forms developers, this eases the learning curve in Java. For Java developers who are accustomed to low-level programming, it provides a much higher-level view of the database-driven business application that they must now manage. Note that this creates an easy and familiar way to navigate through the application in your Java IDE. However, the converted application is deployed in a model view controller known as an MVC architecture to your J2EE application server. So that was a little bit about what you're going to see today, and a little bit about Unify CipherSoft. What I'm going to do now, we're going to demonstrate the conversion step in a migration project. I'm going to hand it over to Khalid very soon, but there's a couple of key points to remember about this demonstration. And the first is that we're going to convert the Oracle Summit application, a very popular application used by companies that sort of show demonstrations of conversion and so on and so forth. It is not as complex as many of your applications, I'm sure, but it has menus and libraries, and it has business logic in addition to the forms. Another point is to point out is this is a full conversion. You can choose to do just pieces, for example. You could just convert the PLSQL code, or once converted, you could just convert the presentation layer into a different option. And finally, we'll show you a like-for-like conversion with the presentation layer deployed in a browser, and then review some Java code of the converted business logic. So with that, I'd like to hand over to Khalid, who will go through the practical demonstration.
Thank you, Matt. I'm going to share this is Khalid. I'm going to share my desktop, and we will go through the process as Matt explained. That first of all, we will go to the conversion process of converting a Summit application that consists of 3 forms, 2 libraries, and 1 menu. Basically, this is the application which normally Oracle provides for their own training purposes on Oracle Form. So what we did, we took that application, we convert that application into Exodus framework, basically like Java XML or Java ADF. So there are 2 types of conversion that you can apply. One is called Java XML, the other is called Java ADF. Here, today we are actually demonstrating Java ADF conversion and deployment and processing. So I'm going to share my desktop in 1 second. You should all be seeing like the conversion tool here first. So the process what we will do here is first of all, as I mentioned, I'll go through the conversion process. Then I will deploy the application into Tomcat application server, which we normally do is beforehand we already deploy the application. So we just go through the conversion process, deploy the application on Tomcat, run the application under ADF, and then show the before and after source code, like how the things have converted from PL SQL to Java, or the presentation layer converted to ADF framework. So if you see here, you would notice that it's a conversion tool which is like very simple, and we try to make the presentation of the conversion tool simpler as possible. However, there is a lot of work behind the scene that is going on. When you press the convert button, basically what it does is go through the conversion process, parse the FMB files, and then find all the PL SQL, and then convert into Java classes, and find all the presentation layer like alerts and list of values and canvases and windows, and convert them into your choice of presentation layer. Here we will choose ADF as the choice of presentation layer, and this is how we will convert. Mainly, if you see the tool, the process is defining the package's name. Like for example, you can define, if you are in Australia, you can define like as package name AW rather than AU rather than COM or something else. And then and why we need that, and I'll show you where we need this package name, is when the Java classes are converted from the PL SQL code. The second thing we see is the presentation layer. You have a choice of two presentation layers. One is Applet Swing XML, or the other is JSF ADF 10G. As Matt was mentioning, that we have moved to 11G now, which has provided us a lot of components that were not present before. It has more scalability. It has more functionalities than 10G. But we have to still move over demo version to 11G. But for today, we will go 10G, and we will show what we have done even like a year or year and a half back when 10G was with limited functionality. The other thing, you will see the input folder or input directory where all your FMBs will be, or your PLL or menu files would be. The output directory is where everything will go after the conversion. The last thing is database connection. Basically, database connection, and people have asked us, why do we need database connection? The reason we need the database connection is for reference purposes only. We don't write anything from database. We don't read anything from database. We just refer database to find out if like for example in Oracle form, if you guys are Oracle form developer, you would notice that you can define a column variable depending on the table column. So when the form runs, it check, okay, is this a varchar 2 or is it a number column from the database item or column. So we go on the database and find that reference out, and then when we create a variable in Java class, we create either double, integer, or a string or something like that. So that's the only purpose we need the database connection here. The other processes is like conversion process, what you want to convert. Obviously you can convert your libraries, menus, and forms. And you can convert in any order you want to convert. You can convert the sub components, like if you want to just convert the PL SQL present in the Oracle form, you can choose that option right here. Like you can say, okay, convert me this thing. And if you want to convert only canvases into ADF version, you can do that also. Our recommendation path during our training process is to do the library conversion first, do your menu conversions, and then reference forms, and then forms that are referencing those forms. So that's the order, but you can convert in any order because it doesn't matter. We are not referencing from libraries what it is doing or things like that. We are individually converting these processes, deploying and running them individually. So what I'm going to do to start with, first of all, I'm going to convert the libraries because this has two libraries, and as soon as I select the library, you will see that the presentation layer option is gone, because that presentation layer option is basically for form. Libraries only contains PL SQL, so we don't have to select any presentation layer option, so it is gone. And there is an option for database or library conversion. We do convert Oracle databases, packages, procedures, and move them to, if you are moving out from Oracle database to a DB2 or any other databases, you can convert your PL SQL procedures and packages in database to Java and then go from there. But in this exercise, we are only converting libraries. So I'm going to say, okay, select the two libraries, move them on the right side so we can start the conversion, and then we press the convert button. Once the conversion is done, in every process or every step of conversion, you will see a log file when the conversion is finished. And that log file we are keeping for every day, basically. Like, so for example, if I'm running the conversion today, it will keep a log file for today, and if you are running a conversion tomorrow, it will keep a log file for tomorrow. So what happens what happens after 2 months, for example, if you want to go back and see what you have done 2 months back, then you can see what conversion you have done on that particular day, what errors you receive on that particular form, or what messages you receive on that particular step. So that's the purpose of keeping the log file, and you can keep this log file for a long time for your due diligence or any other purposes. So once the conversion is done, since we have been doing this conversion for these libraries for so long, so obviously there won't be any messages. But normally, if there is a go-to statement in your code, then we will give a warning here that there is a go-to statement on this form or in this PL SQL line, and then we let you know that this go-to statement has been commented out and not converted into Java. Basically, there is no alternative of go-to statement in Java that either has to be replaced before conversion with if, while, or loop statements or some sort of a exception, or it has to be changed afterwards. So it depends what process you want to take before or after the conversion. But similar warnings or exception can occur, like when you are converting. That will tell you, okay, what it had found and what was the reason. The next step we do is converting the menus. So here again we have a menu option. So I'm going to select that my presentation layer will be JSF XML. I select the menu file, and then since it is one, it doesn't show me the other option. So now you can see here that it has done the conversion. It is saying, okay, the conversion of PL SQL in the menu is done. Again, the same log file that you can use later on for your purposes. The last step we do is form conversions, and there are 3 forms. I'm selecting the same presentation layer, Java, ADF, and XML. I'm gonna do this. Again, like there is a point to note here that this conversion tool can be purchased, and you can run the conversion at your end, or you can buy the product and then do all the conversion or the processes. We do have like training for 5 days to do all these things, or you can ask us to do your job as a services. Anyway, so I'm gonna convert these 3 forms. And you will see that this log file has a little bit more. It has all the processes or sub-processes of form conversion. It is saying, okay, it has converted this, it has converted the data table models. Like data table models are sort of like entity beans. Frame JSPs are converted, everything is converted for all 3 forms. So after the conversion, like if you have selected 5 forms to convert or 3 forms to convert, you need to deploy those forms to start your project and for that purpose, what you can do is run this last step. What this last step does is to create a WAR file, which is a template WAR file, because when you are deploying on an application server, you need to deploy in a particular order, so Exodus can deploy properly, the servlet can deploy properly, and then the folders are created on the right places and all those things. After that, if you do more conversion, you can either create WAR file again and deploy that new WAR file, or you can take those pieces which are converted and copy them to the right place in the WAR file folder. So for that purpose, I'm just gonna say convert and then generate, and then it will start the generation process for WAR file. The WAR file is generated. So once the WAR file is generated, we normally deploy. And again, for deployment purposes, you can use any application server which is J2EE compliant server. We have tried on WebLogic, web server, Oracle application middleware servers, and also as well as on Tomcat. And JBoss also is one of the ones that we have to deploy. For our development purposes in-house, we use Tomcat because it is a lightweight application server. Everything runs faster. And all those things. So in this process also, or in this demo, we have deployed under Tomcat application server. So the next step is to deploy the application server, deploy the WAR file, and then run the application under ADF or whatever the choice. This, what you are seeing here, is basically your original Oracle form. And on the right side, I'm going to show it to you what is being deployed under ADF JSP, the same converted application running under ADF processes. So the look and feel is mostly the same. There are obviously the components are a little bit different. For example, like you can see the tabs are a little bit different here than the tabs are in Oracle form. And again, some of the look and feel you will find a little different, but mostly the colors and drop down and other tree structure can be converted to ADF properly with no problems. So if I go back in here, what it does, this is a master, this is a detail, and this is a detail of this master. So it is a master detail relationship, and there are tabs that you can take, and then you can select from here the same thing. And then address, customer info. So this is the first form, which is customer form. If I double click this one, it will open order form. The same you can do here. Basically double click this one and it will open you an order form. The only difference you will see at this time, that in Oracle form, it is opening the form with keeping the customer form behind the scene. But since this is running in ADF processes, obviously it's an HTML page. So one HTML page will be overwritten by other HTML page. So you are not seeing the customer form behind. But in 11G, they have given us the partial refresh of the page, partial window display, and things like that. So that might be able to do in 11G ADF. Again, the components are there, like radio button, checkbox, and all those things. You can display like window on top of a window, but here when you say display, then it is a new page, so it comes on top of all the pages. You can, however, you can display the contents canvas like this one. You can display a content canvas, not the new window. Window has to be on a new page. So you can exit that out. And then last form in this is a pick form where the images are displayed and all those things. So I'm going to display this the same way here. You can see it's mostly exactly it's like the same. Again, the functionality or components are a little bit different in ADF, so maybe look and feel would be a little bit different, but mostly the placement and all those things will be at the same place where Matt Keeley was saying that end user training. So there would be a very minimum end user training involved when you are moving to Exodus framework. So I'm going to exit these out. So when you exit these out, obviously you can see right here something like this. And then when you say exit here, you exit out basically like. So that's basically, you can see before and after conversion. And someone asked me the other day, what's the difference between the Swing Applet version and ADF? Obviously, for Swing Applet for Swing XML version, there is a small plugin that has to be downloaded on client side. But on ADF, since it is running in a thin client, you don't need that plugin or a downloadable version on the client side. So in some cases, like companies do have securities for downloading plugins or something like that. So they try to move towards ADF than towards the XML Swing version. Okay, so lastly what I'm going to show is the conversion output. And if you see here, the first thing I'm going to show it to you, the converted code. And that's one of the things we were looking at, the converted code package name. Like you can see COM Sports Co, and I'm going to show it to you very quickly. And it is on here. You can see COM Sports Co Summit. This is COM Sports Co Summit. And if I go in the Summit one, you will see there are more folders which represent the Oracle Forms name basically. And here we are keeping the naming convention exactly the same as Oracle Form has before. For example, customer form will have a customer folder, order form has order folders. And if you open further this customer folder, you will see there are more folders, and each folder under customer folder represent the block folder. So for example, if I open original Oracle form, you will see that a customer has blocks, and these are the 5 blocks, and these are all the 5 blocks right here representing as a folder. At the same level, you will see a file called customer.java file. That is basically the file that contains all the form level triggers, all the program units, alerts, parameters, and all their configuration basically. If you go to the block level, for example, if I go to the customer, scustomer, there is an scustomer block here, and you will see another file called scustomers.java. And that basically represents or contains the block level triggers. So what we have done, we have created similar hierarchy as Oracle Form has created. That way what you can do is, if you have a trigger that is firing at the item level and at the block level, then that hierarchy keeps us to do the same thing. Like you can fire item level trigger, and then you can fire a block level trigger after that. So what I'm going to do is open, I'm going to open this text file of customer, which is Java code, and you will see here basically there are few properties, Oracle form level properties, and then after that you will see there are alerts. There are 2 alerts in this form. There are 2 alerts. One is called delete alert, the other is called confirm alert. So delete alert, the definition is defined right here. There are 2 buttons. One is yes, the other is no. The default button is the button 1. Again, like going further, you will see that we are using preform, and again, like the naming convention, this is very important for someone who is moving from Oracle forms to Java, or even for someone who is just starting the Exodus framework architecture development. They would know what preform means or something like that. So we are keeping exactly the same naming convention as used before. So if you see here, trigger, preform trigger, and if I double click it, the only line it has is default value, which is setting as null to global, this one. And if you see here, the built-in is default value, and then there are global value, and then it is saying record group. So if I go in one new form instance, this is coming right here. The new form instance is here, and it is saying, okay, set window property, and this is a refresh country, which is a program unit in the form. Then you are saying go block to the navigator, and then it does all those things. So it's basically one-to-one translation from Oracle Forms to Java. And I think you might have to send an email to Matt or G basically to see if you can download this converted code, so you can see how the things are converted and how they are layout and what are the layouts, and then how the folder structure is all about. There is a key exit, so I'm sure there is a key exit on this side and things like that. So these are all form level triggers. So if I go back and then open any of the block level, if I open any of the block level files, you will see there are block level and there is a post query. So if I open this file, there should be a post query right here, and you can see there is a select statement. There is all select statements are here, and then and this is how we are selecting from database. Obviously, we are using OGBDC's call rather than SQLnet calls. So that's basically what I normally show during the conversion process. Again, like conversion and before, after, and runtime and all those things. If there is any questions now, I think is the time to start asking those questions and see where we go from here. Matt, I'll pass it to you, please.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thanks a lot for that, Khalid. It's very interesting and informative. So as Khalid said, we're going to pass it over now for a question and answer session. Remember to use the question mark button on the WebEx toolbar to post a question. What we'll do, we'll just go quiet for a minute or two, just to give you time to post any questions that you have, and then we'll pick those up and answer those in turn. So we'll speak to you again shortly. Okay, so we'll start running through these questions now. We've had quite a few coming in already. So the first question is, can Exodus migrate customized function keys of Oracle forms? So we pass on over to you, Khalid.
It does migrate the function keys. What we have done, we have created a function key files where you can define your function keys. And there is a default function key file that we provide with the product. So you can either modify that function key or create a new function key file according to the basis, like what we will provide you as documentation. Okay, if you have a Control L, and then Control L will attach to key list of value. So when you press Control L, the list of value will appear on that item.
Thank you. Another question. We have a user online that has asked a question. We have several forms that call reports using run_product or run_report_object routines. How does this work, Khalid?
What we do at this time, we do not convert Oracle reports to any format automatically. However, we provide some services around Oracle reports. So if you want to continue using unless or until I would say your reports are migrated to some other framework, which is a web framework, for example, Crystal or JReport or something like that. What you can do, you can convert your forms and then continue calling the reports, Oracle reports from there, because it would be on the same application server where Oracle, or even if they are on a different application server, like your Java converted code is on application server WebLogic and your reports are running on application server, you can still continue calling that. Or there is another way of doing is to, as you are doing currently, is on a client side, like run the reports from there. So there are few choices that we work with the client, and then until they move to a newer report services like Crystal, as I mentioned, or something else, they can continue calling Oracle report as they are doing now.
Great, thank you. Another question, how does the converted application comply with SOA architecture?
I'm not an expert on SOA architecture, but I know like this Exodus product is JEE compliant product. So the framework is exactly, if it can suit in the SOA architecture, because the J2E application can be deployed under SOA architecture, I'm sure it can be done. But what I'm going to do is take this question and then ask our expertise on SOA and then see how it works to that. So Matt, if you can write this question and send it to me, I will get it answered and then send it back to whoever is asking this.
Okay, will do. Another question, how are your calls forms stack working? We have forms calling various other forms using call_form. We pass parameters back and forth, etc.
You can do exactly the same way as you are doing now, and that's what I was showing to you basically when I was opening a form, when there is a customer form and I was double clicking. It is firing a when mouse double click, and mouse double click has a code which is called like a call form, and it was calling order form, and it was passing a parameter which is like the name of the customer or number of the customer number, and that customer number was taken in order form and executing a query. That's how we normally do, and that's how Oracle also does. So parameter and call form, open form, new form, these are all supported in Exodus product the same way as supported by Oracle Form.
Thank you. Okay, another question. Will the converted I'll start again. The converted application will be a cross-application server application, so there is no need for Oracle ADF, but can run in any web app server that supports Java. I think that's correct, right?
The converted application will be a cross-application server application. No need of Oracle ADF, but can run on any. I'm not sure exactly what the question is, but I can try to answer what I am understanding. If you mean that you would be deploying the ADF on any other application server or web server, you can do that. The only thing is that when you are running under, or when you have a licenses for Oracle application server, like Oracle application server 10G with the JDeveloper 10, or with 11G like Fusion middleware, then you do not need to buy the licenses for ADF libraries. But if you want to deploy on Tomcat or any other application server, obviously you have to have licenses for ADF libraries, and then you have to buy those licenses from Oracle. If it is something different what you are trying to ask, either please send an email or ask it back again.
No problem. I've got the name of the person that asked that question as well, so I'll send an email separately about that. Now the question, once we do the conversion, we do not need any Oracle server software other than a database. What other licenses do we need to get from Oracle outside of the database?
Again, like I think it answers the answer comes from the previous question. Was that if you have application server Oracle, then you do not need to buy anything. But if you're deploying other than Oracle application server, you need to get the licenses for ADF libraries.
Okay.
Other than that, Java is free. Over licenses like Exodus licenses, obviously when you buy the licenses or product, then the licenses, and Matt may answer that better than me, basically on sales side.
Yeah. I mean, on that front, just before we go on to the next couple of questions, if you do have any questions that you'd like us to answer, or your local sales representative to answer, we do have offices all over the world, basically covering every country in the world. From the Far East, we have offices in Australia. Across Europe, we have offices in Germany, in France, in the UK, and then in the US, we have offices in West Coast and East Coast America. We have offices in Canada and also in Latin America, namely Brazil. So if you do want your local representative to get in touch with you, if you just simply email info@unify.com, that's info@unify.com, and your sales rep will actually get that email pretty much instantly. Another question that someone's asked is that they notice that in the generated code that that Khalid has just shown, the exception handlers where they aren't defined in the code itself. Basically, it's saying, notice in the generated code that you just showed that you're generating the equivalent exception handlers where they aren't defined in the code itself. Isn't that going to cause differences in the application?
No. Like the question basically is like in some cases or in generated code, what we do, we create few exceptions like try-catch exception, and the reason is that the null in Oracle form is not exactly the null in Java basically, and in few other cases we have to create those exceptions catching So rather than like it throws an exception on the web browser page saying, okay, this is what it has caused, rather than we catch that exception and try to find the solution, what this could be, and then over libraries like Exodus library catch those exceptions and then produce the right functionality, or at least write a message to the client saying that this exception has occurred and this is what it is happening. Otherwise, in most of the Java application, if you don't catch those exceptions, which are the differences between Oracle Form PL SQL and Java, then what happens is that it throws exception either on the server log or on the client side, and nobody knows what is happening, and those exceptions are not easily readable for end users. So we try to catch those exceptions. And to the next question, will it cause any differences? No, we have not noticed any difference changes for producing or adding those exceptions in between the code.
Thanks, Khalid. Next question. What is the benefit of conversion? I'll start to answer this one. It was actually my last slide that I was just about to go over, so I'll go over that now. The main benefits of conversion is it's a full conversion of the user interface, all of the business logic, and the data access. Effectively, you're getting a 90% reduction in the time. No conversion is fully automated. It doesn't completely automate the process. It's not a magic box that you put in the front end your forms code and out pops perfect Java code at the end, that you can run. There is some post-conversion work that needs doing, but it does save a substantial amount of time when you're converting from forms to Java. On average, around about 90% of the time is saved by using a conversion process. You're also maintaining the structure and the hierarchy of the Oracle Forms project in the Java code. What that means is there's a shorter learning curve for end users. In effect, an end user who doesn't know the application from a technical point of view could turn off their computer on a Friday night, for example, and it could be in Oracle Forms, and they could turn on their computer on a Monday morning, and it will be a Java application, and they'll see very little difference. Of course, if you want a more modern look and feel, you can add that to the converted application. But if you don't want to have to retrain end users, then it's a like-for-like conversion. So you're pretty much maintaining all of the years that you've invested in the Forms code by using an automated process. And it simplifies the process. And it's a much quicker time to market. Have you got anything to add to that, Khalid, in terms of the benefit of a conversion?
And plus, obviously, as you said, the main benefit is that you can leverage the Java language. Basically, you are not stuck with proprietary PL SQL where if there is a limitation that Oracle has limitation, then you cannot work around that thing. So you can add your own tools for testing purposes. You can add your own functionalities. You can do so many things in Java that is available nowadays.
Okay, thank you. I think this might be the last question, possibly, but please feel free to keep asking questions. In the case of applet swing conversion, is any ADF licensing required?
No, we do not require any ADF licenses. Whatever we are doing for applet and applet application is basically all Java classes that are open source. So there is no license required on that side.
Great.
Like when I'm saying licenses, ADF licenses, not like application server licenses. That's a different issue.
Yeah. Okay. In terms of this presentation itself, it has been recorded. So if anybody wants to go back and review it at a later date, it will be posted on our website. Normally posted up within 24 hours. So if you do want to play this back, or if you want any of the presentations that you've seen today, please do send us an email. As I say, info@unify.com is the main address, or of course, if you know your local representative, please do email them directly, and they'll be more than happy to send you a copy of the presentations or the link where you need to go and find the recording. So really, what we'd also like in the future is we do these webinars, pretty much every month we do these webinars. So if you've got any suggestions that you'd like to make for future webinars where we could do things better or differently, or what we did well, we're always happy to hear suggestions. So please do let us know if there's anything that you'd like to see in the future. And I've got another message here from someone who'd like to see some sample converted forms. So yes, we'll get those sorted. Okay, just going on to that's pretty much the end of the presentation today. Many thanks for your attendance. You'll find more information about Cyphersoft at www.cyphersoftinc.com. You can also access Cyphersoft via www.unify.com. So again, many thanks for your participation, and I wish you all a good day, good evening, and a good night. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.